Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mark with Limo Marketer, and I'm back here with Timothy Chin from Elite out of Kansas City. And we spoke a few weeks ago. Just a little background for those of you who didn't watch last week's video. Timothy's been a sales guy. He owned or ran an insurance agency for a long time. He's got tons of experience doing sales. And I listened to his phone calls because Timothy's a current client, and he is just really good at building a rapport and closing leads, closing phone leads. So I wanted to have him back today to discuss that. Thanks so much for coming on again, Timothy.
Hey, excited to have you back in the U.S.
Yeah.
Going and traveling in Vegas and everywhere in between. So it's good to have you back, and thanks for having me back today.
Yeah, no, it's great to be back. And so before I hit record, Timothy and I were talking about a problem I hear from a lot of my clients, and that's, they get these calls and they just aren't very good at converting them in these leads into sales, into booked rides. And so I wanted to kind of get Timothy's take. I've listened to a lot of his calls. He's really good on the phone. He's a closer. And so what do you think, Timothy, goes into a successful call, not like outbound, but if it's a lead coming to you, what do you think about to close these rides?
Well, I think there's two things you have to focus on before we talk about closing.
Okay.
And that is, first of all, if you don't respond within minutes, they're going to the next one on Google. Proven fact. So I got one this morning. They're called back in under 2 minutes.
Yeah.
18 hours a day. Under 2 minutes. Okay.
I like that. Okay.
So they're so shocked that you've called them back because maybe you're not the first one they called. Maybe you were number 2 or 3, and they're just waiting for someone, to respond. So if you're going to sit there and let the lead stack up for an hour, a third of them have already called someone else. And then you may salvage it, but boy, that call's a whole lot harder to salvage than it is to get the initial excitement and do that. So number one is, if you're not, going to answer, do it within some type of speed and maximum time frame, that's why you're at 20 or 25%, and we're at 85% close ratio, because we just make that connection. And what it's like to chase somebody after a call. If they don't answer right away, I'm texting them immediately, just trying to call you. I'm calling 15 minutes later, and then I'm done. I've left messages to call me back, and usually more leads are coming in, so we have to move on. So number one is speed. Number two is, who's answering the phone? I mean, is it a $12 an hour employee that doesn't give a flip-flop about your business? They're just there for the paycheck?
Yeah.
Because when I call back, I identify myself. And by the way, right now, currently, I'm returning all calls. Why? Because I'm the closer.
Yeah.
Okay, number one. Number two is, we get a ton of executive admins that call in. And when I find out there's an executive coming in, a CEO, VP, whatever, I'm going to take that ride as the owner. Okay, why? And we'll talk about that in another call, but I'm going to convert that into future business. Yeah. So I'm taking the calls. So, I've called, Mark, car services around the country for my own reservation. Black car limo. It's terrible.
Yeah.
So a couple of tips on answering the phone is, first of all, smile when you answer the phone. You probably have heard that before. But I'm always excited because after 40 years in sales, I still love the art of the close, and I still love closing a $120 ride.
Yeah.
Just like I love closing $1 million case. I still have the thrill, right? Yeah. So I'm excited when I answer that phone. And when I say hi, so I answer the phone, Elite Transportation Partners, this is Timothy, may I help you? And then they say, oh, hi. First of all, it's like, hi, we didn't think anybody call back, right?
Yeah.
So then I just say, tell me about your trip. I have the ride up in front of me on the computer, that we get an email. So I said, so let me confirm, this is an airport pickup, and you want to be picked up here and taken to here, right? Yeah, I am. Are you traveling on business or vacation? We're just getting back from vacation. If they say business, why do you think I'm asking that question? So it's the QBQ, the question behind the question. They don't realize what I'm even fishing for.
Yeah.
If they're traveling on business, then once they get in the car, do you come to Kansas City often? I have my national vice president at T-Mobile. First ride, she said, I travel every month.
Oh man, I love these questions.
I said, how would you like to have one? Because we got there early. She lives in $1 million home, which in Kansas City is a big home, right?
Yeah.
Cadillac, all the other perks that you know that we do with our clients. And she goes, could you please be my driver from now on? Well, that was on the way. That was on the way to the airport. On the way back from the airport, she said, I'm referring you to everybody at the Sprint campus, T-Mobile Sprint campus here in Kansas City, 20,000 employees. She came back on Monday and emailed all the department transportation people and referred us to them.
Wow, that is.
We don't have the total T-Mobile account yet, but we're pretty darn close, right?
Yeah.
But I knew, even though it was a 4 a.m. pickup, and I don't like 4 a.m., right? All right. So number one, are you trying for business or pleasure? And and we'll find out. Okay. So if they're, let's say they're wanting a point to point or an evening out,
yeah,
I'm always going to ask you. And Mark, I learned this from you. You know, what's the goal of your evening?
Yeah.
Because I got a lead in today that wanted to book us for 4 hours. What they really need is two drop off and a pickup, right?
Yeah.
And they're already concerned and saying, could you give me a ballpark quote? I said, not till, and we were texting back and forth.
Yeah.
I said, not until I talk to you, because I want to find the most affordable transportation for you.
I like that.
So last weekend, somebody wanted to book us for 6 hours, but what they really wanted us to do was drop them off for a concert and pick them up off the concert after the concert. So instead of a $600 ride, it was $220. Well, guess what? They appreciated that.
Yeah, I bet.
And guess what? I didn't even have to do the second ride. And the reason I didn't have to do the second ride is because they agreed to be picked up between 10:30 and 11, right? At the concert venue. Now, the thing I always feel bad about, I only drove them 2 blocks and charged them $150 because anyway, long story short. Anyway, so at 10:30 goes, I think it's going to be a half hour later. I go, no problem. Next one, I think it's going to be a half hour later. Next, I think it's going to be 1 a.m. And so if that's too late, we'll just walk back to the hotel. I said, well, unfortunately, it's outside of our window.
Yeah.
And they walked back. I got paid for the return trip. And he goes, we can't wait to use it in the future. And so I'm not trying to build it's 3 hour minimum. It's 4, blah, blah, blah. Now I did do an 11-hour ride 2 weeks ago. It was the president of the Trial Bar Association. I said, everybody hates trial lawyers, right? He goes, yeah, I'm the president of the association. But he needed to go from Kansas City to Jeff City, which is the state capital of Missouri, and fight a bill before the Senate. So it was 5 hours of drive time at $100 an hour and 6.5 hours of wait time at $60. Ended up being with tip $1,000 trip.
Yeah.
Okay. Not bad. And the 5 hour and 6 hour
not
wait.
At all.
I took a nap. I was reading. I was calling my girlfriend. I mean, I was having a great old time, right?
Yeah.
So no big deal. But again, I tried to find out what's the most affordable ride. So when you find out, well, we just want to basically, no, we don't need you to sit. I said, now, do you need a driver available at all times? Now, I'm not going to take someone to dinner for an hour and take off. We're going to hang around in the area. Of course, we're billing for that time.
Yeah.
But when they hear you say, I want to find the most affordable way to take care of you, they remember that.
Yeah. And you build trust, right?
Yeah, it's not this fee, grand total $384 for 2 hours. That's just not it, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to determine what is the goal for the night. How many passengers, how much luggage do you have? Because I need to know, do I need to take the Navigator or can I take the Lexus? Lexus gets 12 miles more to the gallon than the Navigator. So see, I'm trying to make a smart business decision by getting all the information that I need.
I love this. Okay.
So I had a prom call the other night and I said, what's the goal? And they said, we want to take pictures and listen to music for an hour. I said, Do you just want to be dropped? Yeah, we got rides home. So they wanted the Navigator for 2 hours, but I could have sold them 4 hours. We got 3 hour minimum. No, we charge them a little bit more for Friday night. They're happy, I'm happy, and we can do other rides that night. So I try to connect with them. If they're going on vacation, where are you going? Oh man, I love Phoenix in the wintertime, or blah blah blah. I'm never in a hurry to get them off the phone, so all my calls take less than 5 minutes.
Man,
right?
I love this. Yeah,
So,
no one likes to be rushed. It's like,
no one likes to be rushed. No one likes to think they're a number. I call them. I'll say, "Hello, Mark. This is," I call you by name because I have your name right there in front of me on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. If I close that screen out, I may call you Jay. So I have to have the screen open.
Yeah.
So I have your name there. And so I ask them, how many are in your party? Because it helps me determine which vehicle to take. And anytime I can take the Lexus ES350 sedan over the Navigator, I'd rather save the gas. And plus, it's a lot more fun to drive, and it rides like a car, not a truck, right?
Yeah.
So we get down to it, and then they invariably, you hear the tension on the call. They're waiting for the rate.
Yeah.
So, what would that cost? I go, that's a great question. We have a new client special. This is your first time with us. Normally, it would be $140, but because you're a first-time client, it's $110.
Oh, I love that.
Now, guess what? Our regular rate's $110, but they don't know that.
Sure.
They don't know that, right? Now, we do charge a early morning surcharge of $30. If I'm getting up at 4 a.m., you're paying me, you're paying me $30 extra, and they get that.
Yeah.
You almost apologize for it. Well, because you're coming in at 1:30 a.m., we do have an after-hour surcharge, but we're going to waive it because you're a first-time client. It's only going to be $130. Well, it's $20 more than our regular, but so they always are getting a deal.
Yeah.
Always. And if they go, oh wow, and even if so, I know what I want to make, right? Yeah. And also know what I have to make. And so I call it dynamic pricing. And in case you're not familiar with that term, Major League Baseball, I was a season ticket holder for 10 years with the Royals. Got to see them win the World Series both times, 30 years apart. But right after the World Series, they said, we're going to dynamic pricing. So if they're playing the Yankees, it's $10 more a game. If they're playing the Cardinals, it's $20 because it's cross state. And I called. I said, I've got a freaking ticket holder, spent $50,000, and I can do it to everybody else, but not the season ticket holders.
Yeah.
Because I was here when you had 6,000 season ticket holders, not 20,000.
Yeah.
Right? No, Mr. Chin. So guess what? I canceled my tickets, but I learned dynamic pricing.
Yeah.
The dynamic pricing means if you're the owner or you have a partner or an assistant, they can do dynamic pricing, and you're not going to bust them for taking $10 less. You're going to close a lot more deals.
Yeah.
You get a feel for, so then I say, if they say business, I say, will you be paying for the ride out of your pocket, or will your employer be paying for it? Dynamic pricing.
Yeah. That's a great question.
110 if they're paying for it, 150 if the employer's paying for it.
Yeah. Because other people's money, right?
They don't care. They don't care. So again, you're not going to get that if you have this script for some $10 an hour employee. It's 110, 20% gratuity, tax, blah, 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 blah. And the other word we use, so when we give them the final rate, we say no hidden fees. That's all in.
Yeah.
Except gratuity. And then, of course, I always ask, when they confirm it, I'll say, would you like to pay by credit card or Venmo? And would you like to add the gratuity now or time of service? My partner that I started with the company with, he just bristled at asking them for a tip on that first call. 99% of our people pay the tip on the first call.
Yeah.
And here's what they say. So what's a suggested rate? That's what I'm like. Let's not leave this to guesswork, right?
Yeah.
I say most people tip 20 to 25%. They go, great, put 25% on there.
Nice.
So we have the return trip book. We need return trip. Yes. Let's go ahead and get that on the books. I never make it sound like it's an option, for their son or daughter. So this morning, these people go on a business trip, and I said, we need return He goes, oh no. And I'd asked him on the phone a week ago when he booked it, and he wasn't sure. He goes, our son's going to come get us. I said, well, nothing personal. Why aren't they bringing you at 4 a.m.? Are you kidding? They're not going to get up at 4 a.m. Exactly.
Yeah.
I said, so if they bail on you, you know who to call. They go, we'll call you for, because they wouldn't have given us snacks in the car either, our other list. But anyway, so they're going to feel like they know me, and I'm going to inject it. And by the way, I'm Timothy, I'm the owner, and I'm going to be personally taking care of you. Everybody else is off that night.
Yeah.
Whether they are or
make them feel special, right? Yeah.
Sorry, every once in a while we'd like to keep muting sign that comes up. But anyway, so I'm going to ask them what their goals are. I'm going to listen. Is it business or pleasure? Who's paying for it?
Yeah.
I'm going to collect payment. So I had a guy yesterday coming in tonight at 1 a.m. And I go, well, we need to take payment. He goes, why do you need payment? I said, you're 24 hours out.
Yeah.
So I'll tell them, like, we've got July bookings already, right?
Yeah.
And I'll tell people, we will pencil it in for July. We're going to call you a week to 10 days before and get payment.
Yeah.
And we don't do refunds. We do credits.
Yeah.
So I've got a business gal. She had a sick kid. 2 weeks ago, she calls up, I don't expect you to refund me. I said, we're not. She goes, well, I didn't expect you to. We're going to give you a credit on your next ride. She goes, what? I go, yeah, because it was only 12 hours before the ride. But I was really happy because it was going to be a 3 a.m. ride, so I'm not mad. I'm going like,
yeah.
I get to sleep, But you always make them feel like you're doing them a favor.
Yeah.
And so when they get in, and from the greeting to the little extra perks, that we do, it's wow. From the phone, it's wow.
Yeah.
And you're going to get those that say, well, let me check with whatever and call back. Yeah. I go, well, how about you check with them and I'll call you back in an hour? Oh, yeah. Because there's a call to action. There's a call to action. So we also say, when we ask about the return trip, we say, because we have a discounted rate if we do it round trip. So we discount $10 off each side. Because there again, we don't care. We're trying to build long-term residual customers. And I feel like 90% of all businesses, forget the limo and car business, they do a terrible job at client appreciation. They do a terrible job of keeping in touch. See, a car service, because of Uber and Lyft and other rinky-dink black car services, there's no loyalty. Most people have no loyalty to a service or a driver, right? So they're just like, whoever Uber sends. Yeah. Well, for all of us that are out at airports every day, right, we see the funniest stuff.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I was at the airport a couple weeks ago, an Uber driver had a little like Corolla and tried to put 5 people in a Corolla with their luggage. I'm sitting there going, and they were mad. They were cursing at him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm sitting there going. So I always take pictures, put those stories on social media. This will never happen. I was sitting behind this family with room for 7, and they were trying to get in this little Corolla, right? Yeah. So anyway, but it all really starts with a phone call. Now, I'm from the South, and I hate spam calls. Fortunately, when we call somebody back, it's not spam.
Yeah.
I say, this is Timothy, we're returning your call. We just got your request in 2 minutes ago for a quote, and we're calling you right now.
Yeah. Well, also, we sent out that text. We let them know the number you're going to be calling from. And, with these questions, a lot of the companies I work with, they send, text message thing. And here's the problem is when you're on a call, you can ask all these questions, boom, 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 boom. When you're texting, it's just like, oh, business or vacation, it's like, or do you come to Kansas often? Dude, I just want to
nosy by text.
Yeah, exactly. But when you're on a call and you're smiling when you answer and you're friendly, that's why all of the companies I work with that do phone calls, they close at a higher rate. And look, most of them aren't asking all these questions either.
Right.
So when
the other thing that makes us unique, and there's ways you have to have unique selling propositions, because if you look at the Google search reviews, and everybody looks the same, right?
Yeah.
Most of them have good reviews, blah, 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 blah. So for instance, all of our drivers are CPR, first aid, and AED certified.
That is unique.
I don't know of any other company in America that requires that of their drivers. So here's what I say to that executive assistant. So I jokingly say, so in theory, if your executive had a medical emergency in the car, in theory, I could save his life. And they laugh. You know, in theory. I mean, I said this to a couple, because I had an executive in the car this morning. I said, in theory.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be putting my lips on you if I don't have to. You know, they just laugh. Don't worry, we don't want you to either.
Yeah.
But knowing, I want to tell you, if you're going to try to pick up corporate work,
yeah,
and you're doing, you know, a president of T-Mobile making, you know, 45 million. Of course, he's got his own limo driver, his own limo. But I'm saying, and you let that secretary know that it's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
The one thing I have a problem, and don't tell this to T-Mobile because they like me right now, but they let up to 8 executives fly on the same flight to Seattle every month.
Yeah, could be a
That's
bit dangerous. Yeah.
And they're all executive VPs and above. They're not like next up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So when I mentioned it to my main gal, she goes, I never thought about that. I'm going to mention that to the CEO, you know? But,
yeah.
So they want to know that you care about them. They want to know that you care about their pocketbook.
Yeah.
You know, and so, and even, you know, I'll say why the price, you know, waiving the gas surcharge for you. You're a first-time client. You're first time. So you always have a first-time guest special.
Yeah.
Waiving the early morning, waiving the, you know, fuel surcharge if you have one.
Yeah.
I mean, gas since we started business is up $1.70 a gallon. So if you don't think that is, you know, something you have to pay attention to all the time, you know, because right now, and you start researching what your riders are, you're going to find, in our case, 80% of our riders are single people. 10% they are 2 people, and 10% more than 2.
Wow. So it's 80% are
single.
Wow.
So you don't need an Escalade if you do the research and see. So I have a beautiful newer Lexus ES350. I had a guy in the back today, 6'7", with 6 inches of leg room between him and the front seat, with it all the way moved up, right?
Yeah.
And his wife had plenty of room behind me. So I mean, our first thing we bought was the Navigator. Why? So we bought the vehicle for 10% of our business. They got the worst gas mileage.
Yeah.
But you know, now that we're 3 months in, we know that 8% of our rides go downtown, which is 19 minutes from the airport. Well, in September, when my lease is up, I'm moving up to the airport. Because right now, every airport run from where I live is about 1 hour and 45. And it's gonna be an hour. So now we're gonna save half the fuel, half the time, and double our profit.
Wow, that's huge. Yeah.
You have to constantly be analyzing business trends, you know, what your competition is doing. We're the cheapest in town, not by design. We just know what our profit margins need to be.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you our tips are so, no lie, in the last month I got a $500 tip and a $1,000 tip.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, now there's a story behind it, but it all started with that phone call.
Yeah.
Can you pick me up at 3:45 a.m.? I go, well, no flight's coming after 1. And she goes, well, I'm getting in at 1, but my daughter gets out of jail at 4 o'clock, and I need to be picked up by 3:30 to be 10 minutes away from the airport, Platte County Jail, to get my daughter out of jail.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'm not picking you up at 1 and killing 3 hours.
Yeah.
But I will pick you up at 3:45. I charge you a surcharge. We went, and the only question I had to her is, your daughter going to be safe in my car? Because I wasn't sure why she was in jail, right?
Yeah.
Well, it turned out she's bipolar, had been off her lithium for a week, out of town, got arrested, you know, long story short. Over the next 6 days, they paid me $3,000.
Wow.
Because she said, I need you, and you're a friend. I mean, they were taking me out. Can you come just have dinner with us tonight? I said, well, it's $100. She goes, we don't care. So I go take them out to dinner. They buy, you know, we go out to steakhouse and still pay me $200 for the ride.
Wow. Yeah.
So the last day she told me, like 3 days before they were leaving to go home, finally got permission. She goes, Christmas is going to come early for you. I go, well, you know, okay. She's already been generous and gave me a $500 tip after 3 days, right?
Yeah.
The last day she leaves, she goes, "We're leaving today in the rental car. We're going to miss you. You're like family." And I mean, I lived through separating them from fights, separate. I mean, it was like I took all my therapy family, you know. So she goes, "Be generous to yourself on my credit card." I go, "Cynthia," I said, I'm not going to do that. You're going to have to give me a little bit of guidance. You know, I'm not just going to, you know,
Yeah.
well, charge,
Wow.
you know, just all kinds of legal problems, you know, problems.
Yeah.
She said, "We'll put at least $1,000 on there for you."
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And I
Wow.
did. But I've checked on her. They got home all right. Daughter got home okay. And she
Yeah.
said, "We got to come back for court in May. And I'm calling you. You're going to write." And so
It's a
basically,
client for life. Yeah.
yeah, quite fine. And you're not going to get that again. I hate banging on $12 an hour employees, but you get what you pay for.
No. Yeah. I mean, just everything you've gone over so far, and I'll just rehash it. It's all about speed of follow up. Remembering like who's answering the phone. Is it $12 an hour employee? Like, you get what you pay for many times. And if they're not compensated extra for like a closed ride, that always
Absolutely.
blows my mind coming from a sales background. I'm sure you too. It's like,
Yep.
you got to compensate
For
people.
everything.
Smiling when you answer, asking, is it, vacation or business? Because that's going to tell you a lot, right? If it's business, who's paying? Is it you? Is it your boss? Do
And
you
the way you ask that, though, doesn't sound quite related. Will your employer need a invoice emailed to them?
That's a much better way I was going to say, because that,
that's what you said.
It's the question behind the question, because you don't want to come out with, because then that's an obvious, the reason he's asking this is so that he can take my.
So what we say is, will your employer need an invoice? No, I'm taking care of it myself. Okay, great.
Okay, so that's
back to that dynamic pricing. You're trying to, you're not trying to, pillage anybody.
No,
but you want to get a fair rate because we give a great rate every day.
No, exactly. Yeah,
get a fair rate,
and it will average out to where your average rate will be much higher with this quote unquote dynamic pricing, which I think everyone should be using. Right. And then really figuring out what they're doing, right? What's the goal? Because they might think they need something for 4 or 6 hours. And it almost sounds like people might argue, well, you want to book that for, well, number one, if they think you're looking after their pocketbook, you're going to close that deal, because most companies, they want to get the maximum number of, they just want to get as much as they can. Deal.
On Saturday night, there's going to be 3 couples in there.
Yeah.
So it's a marketing ride. It's not the person who's taking them out for the evening. We've already sold them.
Yeah.
Now we have to sell the guests in there. So I'm always going to reduce the rate to get butts in the seat so they can have the elite transportation. And our motto is elite transportation partners, elite services at affordable prices. Yeah. And affordable sounds warm. It doesn't sound, cheesy at all. So, but they love that. And so I don't want to sit down there for, I'd rather go out with my girlfriend and go do something than sit in a car for an hour, even at $100 an hour. But that's just me, So anyway, it's trying to find out the best deal for them. So here's another thing on a business one. I always ask my business guests, is your host providing dinner? We need transportation for dinner. I'm trying to book them every day they're there.
Yeah.
So if you have a lower sedan rate, like maybe 75 or $85 an hour, and you have a $25 an hour driver that wants to cart them around, it's just money. So but I was asking, will you need any transportation for dinner or sightseeing while you're here?
Yeah, if they're going to be there. And that's why you want to find out more about their trip. How long are you staying? Are there any other activities you're going to be doing where you might, because again, they're probably not thinking about this, right? They might just be thinking, oh, I just need that one transfer from the airport to the hotel. They might not be thinking about the round trip.
I sold my guests for the Big 12 tournaments here for March Madness, with KU and everybody. It's a huge thing, right? So they got with the other Texas A&M families they were here with. They said we needed to use you for our trip back to the airport. And they started promoting us. Now, here's a cool thing, and there's multiple brands. I use a Popple business card. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's a digital business card.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can hand them a business card, or you can say, hey, put this next to your phone.
Yeah. And it
So
will
now
pop
I'm
up.
in their phone forever.
I love
Right?
that. Every driver should have
Yeah.
one of
Every one of my
those.
drivers has one of these.
Okay, so that's another great tip because yeah, boom, there, next time they need, and I'm sure they can search by like, chauffeur or,
Right.
limo or,
Elite transportation.
transportation. Yeah, transportation. And so, I love that. That's,
Well, good. Before you do it, I'll send you my promo code so I can get $3.
yeah, I
I
love
don't even know
that.
what my promo. I don't even know what my promo code is. But anyway, but yeah, there again. So let me close with this thought, and because I want to maybe feed thought for our next call.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be top of mind, right? But how are you top of mind? I mean, when you look at it. So research shows that if you want to be top of mind, your client has to have something in their car, their home, their office, and on their luggage.
Yeah.
Now,
I love that.
we were going to save this for a future call, but why aren't you giving a $3 luggage tag to every guest on airport transportation, especially when they're leaving town, which means they live in your town? So when they go to pull out the suitcase and your bright red luggage tag is on there, who else are they going to call? Ghostbusters? No, they're going to call you. But our client,
brilliant. That's brilliant. I love
I don't
that.
think anybody in the business is doing it.
I've never heard that. That's a new one.
And we get them, we buy them 500 at a time. I think our cost is like $1.74 imprinted on both sides. On one side, and then where they can slip it in. But it's bright red with gold lettering.
Yeah. And
we give them one for each bag, one for each guest in the car. And because they're a Delta trying to do all those paper ones, and
yeah.
So then, what if they're traveling with company just on vacation? They didn't go to the airport, and so I said, "What's that luggage tag on there?" Oh, it's Elite Transportation. They gave you one. Uber never gave me a luggage tag.
Yeah.
And so and as we invest X number of dollars per ride. We have marketing costs built into every ride.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about more of that on future calls, but just home, office, car, and luggage. If you have something that reminds them of you in all four,
yeah,
you're going to be their only service for life.
And yeah, I would think if they're local and you can get them on more than one ride, then you're going to be their go-to person. They might not remember you after the first, hopefully they do, but trying to figure out a way to, stay top of mind. The soft.
I have 9 clients. I have a full wall whiteboard in front of me.
Yeah.
I have our 9 regulars there. We text them and call them every week. Do you have any trips planned this week?
I love. Okay, so I was about to say to figure out how to leverage automation with this, but if they're local, if they're going to the airport, very good chance they're local. This is someone that you set up and some sort of automated text. You can do it manually or whatever, where you reach out within a week or a few weeks. Hey, this is Timothy with Elite Transportation Partners. Just want to follow up with you. Are you heading out of town soon? We'd love to help you out. Or
yep. We do that. Some of them we call, some of them we text.
Yeah.
Also, another thing is we always text the rider that we drop off at the airport well after we know they've arrived. So if they're leaving, go to Atlanta this morning, sometime tonight around 8 or 9, we're going to say, "Hey, Mark, hope you and family had a safe trip. Hope you enjoy your trip. We look forward to taking care of you when you get back."
Yeah, I like that. So
I mean, we're just touching them as many times as it seems normal and not creepy.
Yeah. That's the key.
There can be a fine line between normal and creepy, depending on who you are.
Right? No, for sure. But I mean,
So I don't like a lot of them. So here's the deal. So when we have an out of town guest, we have about 4 or 5 a month come from Seattle from T-Mobile here.
Yeah.
How did we get that? Because we asked our guests going there every month to talk to the transportation people there to refer them to their guests coming here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I had a gal in that Black and Veatch, Burns and Mac, 2 huge engineering firms in the country. They're both headquartered here. We had a gal there speaking on diversity, black gal speaking on diversity in the workplace forum. And I said, "You come to your office?" She said, "Twice a year." But honey, they just love me. I go, "Well, you know, they're gigantic employers, thousands and thousands of engineers, right?
Yeah.
I said, do they book your transportation or do you book your own? She goes, well, I book my own, but I know the gal in charge there. I said, well, over the next 24 hours before I pick you up, would you be kind enough to introduce me? Oh, yes, honey, I'm going to introduce you.
Yeah. Wow.
And she did. Now
Yeah.
you have, you know, that you have to tread lightly, but there again, I'm not some hobo driving a car. I'm a
Sure.
former CEO of two $30 million companies. So the executives enjoy the conversation. And here's another thing that I encourage owner: if you don't drive at all, you should drive some. You should hand pick
Yeah. Yeah.
rides.
Definitely. Yeah.
No doubt,
Yeah.
because no employee, I don't care what you pay them.
Yeah.
Remember this. I told Mark for Kim, I saw a stat yesterday. Only 12% of your drivers leave for more money. 64% leave because they're not appreciated
Yeah.
in a way that they perceive. You may think you're doing a great job, but it's you know, perception is what's important.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not, you know, and my love language is touch, and other people's love language is quality time, and some are gifts, and you know,
Yeah.
and so anyway, it's all about the call. It's all about that first call.
Yeah. Wow. There's so many great takeaways from this. I'm going to review this call again and create a list because, yeah, just, and a lot of these things you can coach a CSR to do. Yeah. Some are going to be naturally better than others at it, but there's got to be probably some sort of incentive, right?
Well, can I ask? Can I give one more suggestion? That just
Yeah.
popped in my mind. If I'm gonna hire a marketing person, all right, we're so excited. We have a full-time chief marketing officer joining us May 10th. You'll be so glad she'll use the software program, and so you'll be really happy about that because that I already told her.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so let's say you have 3 people that have applied for your telemarketing phone answer or return call, and you got 3 great candidates, right?
Yeah.
Well, how do you choose one? They're all equal on paper, you know, same experience, same whatever. So first of all, I'm going to ask them, how big is your database? Well, the average layperson doesn't even know what a database is, right? And they'll go like, well, what do you mean database? Well, first of all, how many email addresses do you have? Well, I have about 30. Candidate 2 has 100. Candidate 3 has 500. Okay. So let me ask you the next question. How many friends do you have on Facebook? Well, one has 100, one has none, and the other one has 5,000. Oh, by the way, same one with the 500 emails. It's the same person with 5,000 social media contacts. Yeah. So I'm going to automatically eliminate number 1, the lowest, you know, whatever that lowest score is. And the other 3, I'm going to choose 2. And I said, you're both going to be on a 7-day trial, and you have one goal. You have to call 10 relatives or best friends, and this is the following script. Hi, Mark. This is your nephew, Tim. Hey, Tim, you know, how you doing? We're doing good. Hey, Mark, I'm up for a marketing position at a local executive car and limousine company, and I had to make 10 calls to any family or friend, you know, that I knew. It could be as safe a call as possible. And Mark, you're my favorite uncle, so that's why I wanted to call you. But I just have a question. If you travel in the future, would you consider using my black car limousine service company? Well, heck yeah, Tim. We use one all the time. You know, we didn't know you were getting the, yeah, we'd consider it. Great. At the end of the week, or make it 20 calls. At the end of the week, one person comes back and says, no, nada, didn't get nothing. The other one said, I have 18 people ready to book with us.
Yeah.
Who are you going to hire?
Yeah.
Why would we hire someone to do marketing? They can't even get 10 friends.
Or can't pick up the phone to even do it. I mean, that's really that'll tell you a lot right there.
And you take the whole pressure off of them, saying it could be friends and family.
Yeah.
You don't say cold call, you know, T-Mobile or AT. I mean, no. And so if they have convinced their friends and relatives to consider using my company in the future, and the other one's got 0, I went from 3 to 1, and I got the best one.
Yeah.
And they probably come with book rides, 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, that's a good idea, and I especially like the how many friends do you have, because that's like a kind of like a proxy for, like, you know, how sociable are they, how many connections do they have, right?
Well, I write scripting. I've written scripts for, I've written hundreds and hundreds of marketing scripts. There again, that don't look like marketing scripts.
Yeah.
So because I want my employees and my partners to be able to post it and look totally innocent, like, hey, where are you going on vacation this summer? We're going to Cabo. Were you driving there? No.
Yeah.
They're going to, and they're, again, if they're not promoting they work for a company, they can say, hey, would you, by any chance, do you use airport transportation? Well, sometimes we do. Well, I'm working for so-and-so, and we have an employee special that we're allowed to give you as a first-time client, and that's blank number of dollars.
Yeah.
But if they have 10 followers on Facebook, you're not going to get much results about where you're going on vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're hiring someone local, there's a good chance they're going to have local friends and family. And so makes it even better. Sweet, man. Hey, that was so much value and so many great questions to ask, on these phone calls that happen, for our clients thousands of times a day. And they're not asking these questions. It's just like that gruff answer, car service,
Yeah, right. and let me say this to our crowd. The name of the group is Mastermind, and I'm trying to get some conversation going, not a lot yet. But we should be masterminding. We should be cheering for each other.
Yeah.
Mark has another client here in Kansas City. I don't even remember who it is.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter.
No, it's not a zero-sum game. Yeah.
Because they're not doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
They may be doing something else that works there, but I know my systems work nationwide. And so if you would love to do a little role play, I'll be glad to spend 15 minutes with anybody on the phone. And unfortunately, Mark keeps inviting me back, so I'll keep coming back as long as he invites me. But we're here to help you because a lot of you want to, the reason 3 out of 5 businesses fail the first year is because you don't know how to build one. I've built 17 companies. So I just have taken my business building skill into a new field, and the formula works the same every time.
No, I can tell by the questions you asked that you're seasoned pro at this stuff. So thanks so much for doing this again, Timothy. And
look forward to the next time.
Yeah. And maybe we can poll the group and figure out what other questions they have and maybe do like a group call next time. So
we would love to do a Q&A and do it live in real time. We could role play. We could have a lot of fun with it. So
yeah,
whatever help the group, we're here to do.
Awesome. Thanks again, man.
You're welcome.
Talk soon.